Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our employer webinar this afternoon, speaking about Skillsroad and how Skillsroad can benefit your business. We're pretty lucky this afternoon. We're joined by Danielle Buckley, our coaching psychologist, and Danielle has been involved for the last 7 years in helping to build Skillsroad to be the resource that it is today for our employers to help them with their recruitment, their management, their development of people. To make sure that they're totally informed when they're going down the path of hiring an apprentice or a trainee, and that they're using the information. So welcome, Danielle. Thanks for coming in and joining us this afternoon. Skillsroad was developed, as I said, about 7 years ago, and it was developed as an information tool for employers and for school leavers, really for school leavers to start to do a bit of thinking about where they might be best suited to find work, where they might be best suited to build their skills, and how to reach employers who might be looking to employ people into the future. One of the things we've noticed over the years working with employers is that sometimes employers don't have a lot of tools available, Danielle, to actually help in the recruitment piece. And so as Skillsroad has developed, you'll see a lot of tools that are on there to help with employers and also help school leavers. And part of today's presentation, Danielle's going to take us through the science behind some of those tools that do exist for employers to use and to help them make informed decisions when they're employing people and when they're coaching and mentoring people in the workplace. It has grown up to be an excellent resource. So at the moment, we've got more than 130,000 members using Skillsroad to find out information. And that really gives our employers access to a lot of candidates who have come to Skillsroad to find out more information about work, to find out information about themselves and how they fit into the work world. And also, it's a great resource for careers advisors and teachers. So it's allowing us to tap into the schools and to be getting information about work, not only work now, but work of the future. Where will the jobs of the future come from? When we're engaging with our employers, we're really conscious of looking at what the employer's needs are. And so the development of our jobs board within Skillsroad has really assisted our employers to access some of the candidates that are coming through Skillsroad. So that's a bit of an introduction of Skillsroad, Danielle. You're the brains behind it in terms of the psychology and what's been developed in some of the tools. I'm going to get you to cover now what we're going to cover over the next 40 minutes or so, but I do encourage employers, as we're working through the slides today, please send through your questions, because we could make this a really useful time for you in addressing the questions you might have. There'll be a number of polls we're going to get you to do on the way through too, but as you think of questions, please send them through and we'll be dealing with those as we can on the way through the workshop. So welcome, Danielle, welcome to Sydney, all the way from Hong Kong, yeah. So what are we going to cover today?
So today what we're going to look at is just a bit of background to our approach to Skillsroad. So we want employers to use this as a tool for them. And I want to talk a little bit about the evolution and why we've taken the approach we have, and also why it's different to some of the other tools that are out there. And then we're going to go through step by step what are the tools that employers can use, both from a recruitment and retention phase. So we'll revisit the career quiz. We'll talk about the job fit test. We'll talk about the jobs board, and then we'll go on and talk about the retention strategies and tools on there. So the induction tools, as well as the coaching and mentoring tools. But before we begin, we have a number of employers on the line, and as James said, please ask questions as we go along today. And our colleague here will read through any questions and will take time to answer these questions. So we want to make sure that you walk away from this webinar knowing what you can use, when you can use it, and why it's useful for you. To begin though, I want to ask everyone to participate in our first poll, which is who uses the tools on Skillsroad. So you can contribute here by answering this question, and we'll share this with the broader group. Okay, so this is a very good start for us because it seems as though most people don't use Skillsroad yet. So thank you for everyone who's participated. 90% don't use Skillsroad, 10% are unsure about whether they use it or not. So we will ask those unsure people now, if we can stop that poll and move along to the next poll. What do you use? If you're unsure, 90% of you don't use it, but if you do use it, What are the things that you're familiar with? Okay, so some people have got the coaching and mentoring tools that they're familiar with. Induction. Oh, someone's changed their mind. Okay, thank you for your participation. Most people here are familiar with the coaching and mentoring tools, which is excellent. So moving along, and we'll ask for some more questions and polls further along, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about the background, and particularly when it comes to the career quiz and the job fit test, why we've set this up the way we have. I'm a coaching and consulting psychologist for the New South Wales Business Chamber. And in creating these tools, what we know is young people are most likely to succeed in careers when they're intrinsically motivated by it. So if you think about your own job and your own life, when we do things that we want to do, then we're more likely to have positive experiences as a result of that. And I just want to introduce you to this idea of the goods life versus the good life. Um, if we think about the goods life, a goods life is a life where we purchase happiness. So life is meaningful and people are happy and successful if they have money, possessions, and the right image. People who work towards this kind of extrinsic goal want possessions and they do things for controlled reasons. So whether that be they want to buy a fast car because all their friends have a fast car, or whether that be starting work, they're saying to themselves, I want to work for you because my parents said I need to get an apprenticeship. People who focus on the goods life and doing things for possession, money, power because their parents said they have to, actually turn out not to be that happy. And when it comes to working for you, turn out to be that group of people who are somewhat disengaged. Then there's what we call the good life. So a good life is when we live a life according to our core values. So we pursue a life where we feel in control, we have a sense of autonomy, we feel competent, so we actually feel that what we're doing we are good at, and we have relatedness, which means we have a whole lot of positive relationships in our life. It means we play to our strengths, we have meaning, we have passion, and we have purpose. People who work towards intrinsic goals, when it's a young person starting work, might come to work for you to be a mechanic because they love cars and they want to get paid for doing something that they love. It's important that we understand the reasons why young people do things, and we'll share research throughout today's webinar. But when it comes to starting work and working with you, the career quiz and the job fit test have really been designed from a psychological framework that helps to understand young people. We want people not to match their jobs to their talent, but we want young people to match jobs and careers and industries based on what they're good at, based on what their strengths are, based on what motivates them. Which is why we always say to employers, the best question that you can ask in an interview is, why do you want this job? This is important because when we have people come into our workplace, whether that be young people, medium-aged people, or even older people, when we focus on our extrinsic values and goals, so when we do things because other people have said we have to, we know that our well-being decreases. We know we have low levels of vitality. We have high levels of depression and anxiety. We have lower quality of life, low satisfaction. We're less happy. We're less positive. We have more drug and alcohol use and high levels of narcissism. And I think if there are any parents on the call today, I think if you thought about what you want for your child when they start their career, it's none of these things. What you want for your child, and hopefully what you want for your employees, is a high level of well-being, is a high level of engagement in your workplace, because we know that that turns into high levels of productivity and, for you, profitability. So the journey that we're going to take you on when we go through these tools is that there's quite a lot of psychological theory behind the career quiz and the job fit test, which is why we really encourage you to use this as part of your recruitment practices. We'd just like to share some information with you as well. This is a survey that's come out from the Mission Australia Youth Survey last year. And when it comes to what influences post-school plans, we know that parents are still the number one go-to point for young people. and teachers and career advisors are actually the lowest. So we really, as well as we need to educate employers, we really need to start educating parents in terms of what options are available and how do we help young people make the right options for them. Interesting for you in your workplaces, young people's top values are friendships, family relationships, and school and study satisfaction. And that's a huge change that we've seen in the workplace, particularly with Gen Xers and baby boomers, that when young people come to work for you, they want to be friends with you. They want positive relationships and people who care about them. And we see that their biggest worries are coping with stress, school and study problems, and body image. Following on from that, their biggest national worries are alcohol and drugs, equity and discrimination, and mental health issues. And 1 in 4 young Australians currently has a mental health condition. And the most alarming fact for me at the moment is that suicide is the biggest killer of young Australians and accounts for more deaths of young Australians each year now than car accidents. And it's important that we share this information with you when we start thinking about what young people are like in the workplace, because we have a young generation entering the workplace who are coming from a perspective where their well-being is kind of so-so. They're languishing, they're unsure about what they want to do, and we need to help employers hire the right people into their businesses, which is why our recruitment tools are so successful. But then once the right person is in the job, help them develop themselves, and that's where the induction and the coaching and mentoring tools that we have created will really help your business and help your individuals in your business flourish and your business thrive.
So Danielle, I'll just jump in there then. From an employer perspective then, it sounds like there's some really good information available there for employers in helping them choose people who are intrinsically connected to the jobs that they're interviewing them for. So lots of resources there to help young people find the right fit for them. So often it could be mum and dad that are having an influence, but the testing tools that you're going to take us through will actually help young people really come to terms and understand what it is that makes them tick, and hence what they should be looking for in a job. The tests aren't definitive, so in some indications it might be just an indicator for an employer to, if I'm bringing someone on in a certain area, I might need to develop them in certain areas and be supportive of them as well. So let's go now to what you believe is not working for young people at work.
Well, James, we've been really lucky in Australia. We have such an incredible body of research that looks into apprenticeships, and we know that the completion rate's been hovering at around 50% for the last however many years. And when we know, we dig down and try and understand why we have such a low retention rate. The main reason is interpersonal relationships. So people are quitting their apprenticeship purely because they don't get along with their boss or co-workers, or secondly, just not liking the career or not liking the work. And again, this is really informative for employers because on average, the research says that it costs between 1 and 5 times that young person's salary. Once you recruit someone, they start with you and then they leave your business. So it's actually really costly when it comes to people leaving and not completing their apprenticeship. We want them to be the right fit for your business and we want them to stay on for your business results. And a number of our Skillsroad tools that we're going to go through today will help with that recruitment induction and retention phase. So in recruitment, we're going to cover the career quiz and the job fit test. In induction, we're going to look at best practice induction. So what can you do? And a ways of working agreement we'll introduce you to. And then some of the retention and coaching and mentoring tools as well. So if I can just start with the career quiz, and again, if you have questions about this tool, please pop them in the questions box and we'll answer all the questions in a moment. The career quiz was designed a few years ago now, and it stems from Elias Porter's relationship awareness theory. So again, what we're trying to do is understand what motivational type our young students are when they leave school and start to enter the workforce. We know that roughly we can be influenced and motivated by one of 4 different types. So we might be a carer, and as I read through these types, I want the listeners to think about what their motivational style is. So the first style might be a carer, and a carer is somebody who's motivated by relationships. These are the people that when you're sitting in a meeting and you're trying to resolve a situation, care most about how other people feel. The second style is a driver. A driver is somebody who's motivated by results. They want to get things done. This is the person who's sitting in that meeting, focusing on the time, making sure a decision's made quickly and efficiently, and wants to just get to the bottom line. Then you've got the analyst. So an analyst is somebody who's really motivated by the finer details of things, making sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and someone who's really motivated by the technical side of things. And then the fourth is you've got the flexor. And a flexor is a combination of the other three styles, but can be equally frustrating to some of those other styles because they're often described as a peacemaker, and they want to make sure everybody's happy and content. So the purpose of doing this career quiz is to start to get young kids to think about what's their motivational style. So they complete this quiz. It takes about 10 minutes to do. They fill in their details and they're asked a number of scenario-based questions. And they're assigned, they get 8 coins, and they have to put those coins based on answering the questions as to what sounds more like them. As a result of completing the quiz, they get to understand a bit about what their motivational style is, but then they also get to have a bit of insight into what industries and what careers might suit them given that style. And again, we see some real differences here. So, and I don't want to make a sweeping generalization, but I will give the example of somebody who might be a carer, but is really interested or thinks they might be interested in doing an accounting role that really relies on having a high level of attention to detail. And what this career quiz is doing is it's just really, really informative when it comes to getting kids to think about what might suit them. It's also useful because we know a number of young people find the biggest stress about leaving school and transitioning into the workforce is actually there's too much choice. They don't know what to do and they don't know where to start. So this is really just giving young people an opportunity to find out a bit about their personality, a bit about their motivational style, and then what careers might suit them, and then they can use the rest of the tools on the website to start then digging down into that career to match their suitability.
So Danielle, I might just jump in there from an employer's perspective in engaging with these tests. Some of the things we see employers doing with the career quiz is actually asking their candidates to complete the career quiz before they come in for an interview. They can bring the results of their quiz into the interview, and it can lead to some really interesting conversations and discussions with the employer around what's come out of the quiz and where they might be best suited. It doesn't necessarily mean that someone would be precluded from a job, and I'll get your advice on this one. It could be a development piece, but it really does initiate a conversation around what's going to fit them best. And if they do get someone that's going to fit their organisation and the job role best, the likelihood of them hanging around and being retained and completing their traineeship, their apprenticeship, and being good at work is going to be higher. Is that what you think?
Absolutely. So again, you have a young person complete this and you find out that they're a driver, someone who's motivated by results. This can really then inform how you work with that person. So not giving them any tasks where they can just get things done is going to be really demotivating for them. So yes, absolutely, while it informs young people about starting to think about their career, from an employer's perspective, it's hugely insightful because it allows employers to start a conversation once they hire a young person around the different goals and the way they can set up the workplace to make sure this young person actually thrives in what they're doing.
So really it is about being informed and getting as much information as possible, and often when employers are conducting interviews it is difficult to find out information. You're getting more information from time to time. I guess I'm going to speak to the employers at the moment. If you've been using the career quiz and have any specific questions, now might be a good time. And I do see that we've got a question here. Can the employer see the report in advance? And that's a question that's come through from Betty, Danielle.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of ways they can do this. As part of their recruitment processes, they can ask each person who applies for the role to send them the report. So after completing this quiz, the young person gets a paged report, a bit about their style, a bit about their scores, a bit about careers that might suit them, and that can absolutely be sent to an employer in advance. Following on from doing the career quiz, once somebody does the career quiz and finds out what their motivational style is and they get a selection of possible careers that might suit them, the next tool that we've created is what we call the job fit test. So the job fit test, which is one of the most exciting tools on the market at the moment, and this is again a point to mention is these are all free for you to use. We've had I think 70 or 80,000 young people complete the career quiz now, so we know it's got a high face validity. And the job fit test, we've had maybe 15,000 young people complete it, and this is a newer test. So the job fit test allows young people to actually take the different careers that they've explored and assess their suitability to that role. So for example, they would like to be an accountant. It would allow you to answer a number of questions about your experience, your interests, your motivations, and your strengths. And then it gives that young person a percentage score about their suitability to that role. What it then does is, for example, if you may have only scored 20 or 30% suitable to the role, it provides a series of development points, allowing that person to then go away and develop and work on the things that they might need to improve in order to be 100% suitable for that role. And again, we're not focusing on talent here. We focus on subject selection, yes, but we focus on soft skills, we focus on strengths, we focus on interests, we focus on motivations, because we know that when someone's intrinsically motivated, that they're more likely to be suitable and fit for a role, and we want employers to be motivated to use this as well as part of their recruitment processes. And again, just because a young person might be a 20% fit for you does not mean that they're not going to be right for you, because you might look at that 20% and say, well, you know what? This just means that for the next 12 months, this is what I'm prepared to coach and mentor that young person on and work with them through. So again, you can incorporate this as part of your recruitment practices. Each time they do this, they can put up to 5 jobs in there and match their suitability. So we can also sort it through different industries if they're passionate about an industry but not sure what roles might suit them.
Great, Danielle. We've got another question from an employer here about the test. Is the test only tailored for young people? How about mature age? Would it change a career or for parent and also possibly parents who are returning to work?
That's such a great question, and absolutely. So we have over 350 careers on there at the moment. We are looking to expand the amount of careers on there, but it is absolutely usable for anyone. It's got a reading age of 12, but absolutely older people can use it as well.
I think what you've said there, Danielle, about it not being definitive, it's a part of what you're going to be using in your recruitment process. You're going to be conducting your interview, you're going to be assessing people against the skills that you're going to be needing for the job. This is just giving employers extra information to either make a decision or to help them end up with the best outcome by employing that person.
Yeah, and that's a key point, because we hear time and time again from employers that, I'm a technical expert, I run a business here. I don't have time to invest heavily in the people side of things, and I don't have the skill, which we understand. So our offering here to you is to help our employers, in terms of wanting to increase the completion rate and have your young person stay in your role for longer. The critical part at the beginning is making sure you get the right person in the role. So we see that a lot of young people are hired because their parents or friends have said, my child's looking for a position, and so therefore we're going to fill it. And while we still encourage that, actually making sure that person is a right fit for your business is really, really important.
We've got a question here from Savannah. At the end of the job fit test, is there also a report generated with the results and the outcomes?
Yes, so they get a brief report with a percentage score and all the things that they need to do in order to improve their suitability to that role.
Great. And another question here from Paul. Does the fit test test suit employers who are looking to find tradespeople?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, as I said, this is, we are looking to evolve this again. So if you do use this and you're noticing that there's careers on there that we may have left off, please let us know, because we also want to make sure this is about careers of the future. And so we're constantly trying to update it and make sure it's fit for purpose for you.
Danielle, I might just jump in there because every day we're meeting with employers who are struggling to find candidates, and if you can be providing us with information, if you're in an area as an employer where it is difficult to find people, then we can be providing information to candidates, remembering that there's 130,000 people using the site for information now. That they can be tapping into that, and if we can be working with our employers to making sure that we're covering the jobs now and what they think their jobs needs will be in the future, then we'll definitely be able to help them. And Skillsroad gets even stronger by getting that interaction with employers like the ones engaging today. Donna's asked us a question. While listening to this webinar, I've decided to do the job fit test. I think it's great to do for employers as well. So that's really good feedback.
Thank you, Donna.
The other part of Skillsroad, and this is something for employers to be really conscious of, is that we've developed a jobs board there that employers can use to actually advertise the jobs and the roles that they've got and where they're trying to fill positions. So when you think about what Skillsroad has become, it's an area for candidates to come in and do a bit of testing around themselves and their fitness for work in key areas, get some advice about the sorts of jobs that they should look for. But having the jobs board there means that it's a natural progression for someone who's looking for work to be able to continue on and find out, are there any jobs in the area that I've been deemed to have a look into? And we're seeing a really nice match there from our employer's perspective in advertising those jobs and making them aware for people who are coming in through either leaving school or who might be in career transition to see jobs that are there. So for our employers, please be aware that it is a free service, so you can advertise your roles for free on Skillsroad, and it's a really great way to access candidates and also to get some suggestions around interview questions. Danielle, I might get you to just give us a bit of information about the types of interview questions that but we've just been advised that at the moment there's more than 200 jobs a month that are being advertised. 3,000 employers plus have used the jobs board, so it's a great resource for employers to actually get out there and advertise your job, but also take a look at the information that exists on Skillsroad about the types of jobs, and if we can be adding to it with your input, that would be fantastic.
And again, just following on from that with the jobs board, again, bearing in mind that psychological framework that we've been using to inform the way we create our tools here, think about the way you craft your jobs. So a lot of young people actually don't know what different jobs in, let's say, the automotive industry involve. So if you want to hire an apprentice who loves cars, your job ad needs to state, I want somebody who loves cars. And it's not just about listing off the technical and very prescriptive skills and tasks that somebody will be doing, but think about the type of person that you want for your business. And again, think back to the career quiz. Do you want somebody who cares about people, that likes to be a team player in terms of working with each other and learning from other people? Or do you want somebody that likes a fast-paced environment, or somebody who likes to only work on their own? So try and think differently about what sort of person you want for your role, and then use that on your jobs board, your ad in your jobs board. But then following on from that, what we've heard from lots of employers is that when we get these candidates through, we don't know what to ask them. And when we do ask some of the questions that we've previously asked, we get very vague answers. So we've added in the induction part, we've added a series of best practice interview questions that employers can ask. And again, these interview questions have been built off what the literature says as to why people leave apprentices. For example, we know, again, after relationships and not liking the work, location is a really important key. So if young people can't get to and from work easily, that's often a trigger point for them that they're just going to leave. So there's lots of questions in there that we would encourage employers to consider when it comes to answering recruiting young people. I think we have some more questions on induction, Julian.
There was one question there that came in from Jenny around is it okay? Is the advertisement on jobs board only for apprentices? I guess I'll jump in there and answer that one, Danielle. The answer is no. No, employers can advertise any role on Skillsroad, keeping in mind that the candidates that are going to be using Skillsroad might be school leavers or people who are in career transition moving into a new career. So we're always going to encourage employers to think about apprenticeships and traineeships as part of their recruitment strategy because of the support that's provided to people when they do make a transition into a new job. There are more than 1,000 types of qualifications that are available through traineeships and apprenticeships. So if you're not totally familiar with all those different areas that there can be support for employers in, we'd encourage you to reach out to us by sending a message through, because we'd be very happy to give you that information. It doesn't have to be your traditional trade areas that are covered by apprenticeships and traineeships. There's a myriad of options, definitely up to 1,600 types of qualifications that can support people in that early phase, and also the mentoring that comes with offering someone a traineeship or an apprenticeship. So the answer is no, you can advertise non-apprenticeships and traineeships on Skillsroad, but we would always encourage employers in taking on school leavers to think about traineeships and apprenticeships. There's government incentives that are available to support, but it's also there's some mentoring that can be provided as part of a traineeship or apprenticeship, and can really lead to a good outcome from an employer perspective in keeping that development going. So, yeah.
Just following on from that, James, you know, a lot of the research again is pointing to when it comes to a young person having a number of options to choose. So if they've been provided with the option to choose from 1 out of 3 jobs, they're most likely to go with an organisation that is A, aligned with their personal values, but B, offers coaching and mentoring. And that's why also inducting young people is a start to a good coaching and mentoring relationship. Because what we see with a lot of employers is that young people aren't inducted. So we're also seeing that lots of young people, when they enter the workforce after school, aren't job fit. So they haven't had part-time work, they don't understand the rules of the workplace, and so an employer's job is quite difficult because not only are they there to teach the skill, and if it's an apprenticeship or a traineeship, that side of the equation, but they're also coaching and mentoring people, young people, in terms of how they can develop their how to work ethic. So what we have included on the website as well is some guidelines for best practice induction. And you can access that from the skillsroad.com.au website. But the most popular tool that we have on there is called our Ways of Working Agreement. And this really taps into the knowledge that lots of young people are really nervous about starting work. And I'll ask all the employers to think about what their first day was like, if you can remember that. But most people are full of anxiety. And when it comes to young people and the different generations that we have in the workplace now, we have a lot of different stereotypical traits come through. And this Ways of Working Agreement, we say and we ask employers to take time out on the day one, sit down with the young person starting work and create a ways of working together. And the best thing about this tool is the employer gets to share their expectations of the young person, and you can see there's a lot of blanks on the form. And so they fill in expectations around start and finish time, dress code, mobile phone use, getting to and from work, if they want holidays, not showing up from work. And really this is a working document. So an employer can write any single thing that they think is really critical that that young person knows on day one. And this isn't meant to be a huge war and peace novel. It's a really simple form that talks about expectations. So the employer shares their expectations of the young person. But what I love most about this is then the young person or the apprentice and trainee then gets to share their expectations of the employer. So what do they expect from a coaching and mentoring perspective, from a seeing you, from a meeting perspective, and talking about that? Because again, we know a mismatch in expectations is one of the big difficulties when it comes to engagement of young people at work. We then ask each party to sign this form, and this then forms the basis of every performance management discussion you're going to have for that first 12-month period. So when something goes wrong, you pull out the form and you can say, hey, we agreed to this. What's gone on? What's happened? What do we need to talk about? And this might change and evolve, but again, a lot of employers have said to us over the years, I don't know how to raise X, Y, or Z with my apprentice trainee. And therefore, by creating this document, you make those conversations a very factual one because you've already agreed what you expect. And particularly with rules around mobile phones, we've found that this has been very, very critical and important with starting off the relationship the right way. Has anyone got any questions on induction tools or using the ways of working agreement?
I think that ways of working agreement is a real must for employers, Danielle. There's some excellent information there for employers to, really set out and overcome some problems before they become problems, and get them written, get them an understanding. We had a quick question that came through from Paul. What is the difference between an apprenticeship and a traineeship? That came into that. That's a big question. Just quickly, Paul, apprenticeships pretty much cover your traditional trade areas, your carpentry, plumbing, hairdressing, commercial cookery, those sorts of things. They tend to be about a 3 to 4 year period. Your traineeships can be for any other areas, really. They're much more shorter in term. They might be for administration, they might be for leadership, they might be in phone centre, reception skills, those sorts of things. So they tend to be shorter. They're not your traditional trades. But if you've got specific questions about your business, please send them through and we can advise whether a traineeship or an apprenticeship would best suit. Now moving on to coaching and mentoring tools, Danielle, and how Skillsroad can be used for that.
Yeah, so once we've recruited the right person into your business and we've invested in inducting them and having a formal induction plan and creating the ways of working agreement, it's really then about how you can invest in coaching and mentoring those young people. And on average, we know in the workforce, and this is not to do with apprentices in general, but globally, we have about a 29% engagement rate with employees at work. So that means 29% of people who turn up to your business and our businesses are engaged in what they do. This means they feel committed and connected to their role. We know that 56% or thereabouts are disengaged and the rest are actively disengaged. So this means they're acting out their unhappiness. And we also know that just by spending 1 hour a week with an apprentice or trainee will double their engagement rate. And so what we ask of you in your businesses is that you actually invest time in teaching and coaching and mentoring these young people. And typically, when you became a tradie and you started your apprenticeship, and in a lot of other organisations as well, you came to work and you were told what to do. And if you look at the matrix, you will see the tell sign right down the bottom. But what we're encouraging employers to do is start changing some of their communication to more of a coaching approach. So investing in asking those types of questions with young people around how they would do things. How are you going to structure your day to day? How would you approach this task? Why do you think we've done it this way as opposed to that way? And whenever I share this table with employers, everyone sort of agrees, yes, this is important, but I already know the answer. And they already know the answer because they've been doing this for years and years. And asking these questions is time consuming and it's actually really stressful sometimes because when you do know the answer and you want to get things done quickly, coaching and mentoring is, let's be honest, a bit of a pain. But what we know is if you want your young person to progress, if you want them to be engaged, these are the sort of questions and this is the sort of framework in your communication that you need to have. So we've got to think about a coaching approach both from an informal coaching conversation, so asking those why and how. And I was speaking with a plumber the other day who said to me, I think I ask that coaching question all the time when I say, why have you come from the truck back onto the job site with only one tool as opposed to 5? But it's these coaching questions that need to happen very informally and on the job as you go, but also investing time, sitting down with a cup of tea or over breakfast and you talk to your person, get to know them, ask them what they like, ask them where they want to be in 1, 2 and 3 years' time, ask them about what they're learning at TAFE and ask them what they enjoy about their role, what they find challenging. And just simply by engaging and asking those questions, we really see that this leads to higher levels of engagement. And when people are more engaged, they're more likely to offer that discretionary effort. So when they could go home early or they could work harder, they choose to work harder. And I think any business would prefer the latter. On our website, if you look up on the Employers tab, you will see that there's a whole lot of the things that we've spoken about earlier today. So we've got the recruitment section, the induction section, and a coaching section. In the coaching section, you'll see tip sheets on how to set goals, how to do performance management, and how to build relationships. Because a key part of coaching your young person is around goal setting. We want them to see this apprenticeship not as a 4-year slog where I have to use a broom every day, but where I'm going to work towards becoming a qualified tradesperson in an industry and area that I'm passionate about. And part of that is setting goals. So whether that be the 6-month, the 12-month, 3-month mark, having something to look forward to and work towards will also increase their level of performance on the job. So I think that's a really crucial element, and I would encourage all employers to start thinking about how they can do coaching questions. I'd like to invite the employers to think about, are there any questions that you have when it comes to coaching, the coaching tools, or even the inductions or anything that we've spoken about so far?
Danielle, you've really covered some good ground for employers this afternoon, and yeah, we've got a few minutes left of the webinar, so really encouraging employers. Any questions you've got about the presentation so far, please send them through, and we can get some answers for you. Now we're moving to the point of actually doing a poll of employers again. We're keen to see what tools you're most likely to use based on what you've learned this afternoon in the Skillsroad presentation. So if you could just take that poll for us, we'd be really interested in getting the feedback as it comes through.
Yeah, I'd just like to say we're about to wrap up in a moment. So if you have any more questions, comments, please put it in the chat box and let us know. But thank you so much for everyone who's participated today. And I'm really thrilled to see that as this poll comes up, people are interested in using all of the tools. And it's important that you remember that Skillsroad is a community initiative. It is part of the New South Wales Business Chamber, but we are here to help you as employers. We want you to be able to recruit the best apprentices and trainees for your business. We want you to induct them and coach them well, because that's going to benefit our young people, but also benefit your businesses. So if there's more things that we can add to this or other support that we can offer you, we're always open for your feedback and comment.
Danielle, I'll just jump in there for a moment too. So Skillsroad is also used by the Victorian Chamber, Business South Australia, and CCI WA, so apprenticeship support across the country. And I know there could be employers who are calling in today who are coming in from across the country, which makes the information we're gathering very useful for us as well. So yeah, so that's been good. So. We do have another question. A question has come through from Janine. If you haven't done a ways of working document from the beginning, how do you introduce that later on, Danielle? How do you suggest that?
That is a really good question. I would simply say that I've just been to a webinar and we've got this great document. I think let's sit down and talk about it. And if you haven't already put one in place, it's not too late, because we've had so many successful stories of employers saying, you know what, this gave my apprentice or trainee the opportunity to say what they wanted of me as much as what I wanted of them. And it is a two-way document. It's a talking point. So if you haven't done it, now's a great time to start. It is a development point as well as something you can do as induction.
Fantastic. And another question that's come in, and I've got one more question. Sorry, no, that's it. What's the difference between goal setting and performance management?
Yeah, great question. So part of the goal setting guidelines that we have is quite literally sitting down and setting some goals for those individuals. So we follow the SMART principle, but making sure that they know what they're working towards. So a goal that needs to be specific, measurable, needs to be authentic, realistic and time framed. And it might be something like learning a new skill. It might be something like being able to complete something on their own. It might be able to quote a job successfully and get it right, or organise the truck in the right way, making sure the inventory is up to date. The information we have on performance management is also about what to do when things go wrong. So if you start noticing that the behaviour has decreased or somebody has made a mistake, there's a lot of guidelines on how to tackle those conversations. There's also some information on termination, your rights, your responsibilities. And on the Apprenticeship Support Australia website, there's also some more videos around dealing with bullying and harassment and other performance-related issues, that if people want more information on the HR side of things.
Danielle, you picked up on that question there from Felicity asking about if you've been through all the steps, what do you do to terminate the employment? Well, that's quite a tricky area, and we would refer Felicity to your business chamber in each state. There's definitely information provided through apprenticeship support and also through Skillsroad there on helping come up with a positive outcome. But if you're in a position where you are thinking that termination is an option, please make sure that you refer to your HR team or refer to the chamber to get some assistance in that space, because it can be tricky and you're best to be guided in that space, and there's lots of help available in each of the business chambers across the country that can assist you in that space. One more question is, where do we find the HR stuff from Joanne?
Well, there's some of the HR stuff under the coaching part of the website, but again, as James said, if it's more detailed, then it's your local chamber or the Apprenticeship Support Australia website can guide you to where you need to be based on what state you're calling in from today.
Great. One more comment that's just come through from Kate. Kate says she loves the working agreement. She's used something similar with school leavers in the TAFE setting. She agrees that management and the care factor is so important for learners and new employees. So thanks for that support and that comment, Kate. We're getting very near the end of our time. We're up to well over the 45 minutes now, Danielle. We probably should wrap it up at this stage. If you've enjoyed today and got information from it, we're really glad that you joined us this afternoon. Thank you, Danielle, very much for your insight into all of the work that's been done sitting behind Skillsroad. Remembering that Skillsroad is a resource there for not only employers but also for employees. So if you wanted to refer people who might be leaving school or even employees within your business to actually start to tackle some of the questions that they might have, refer them to Skillsroad to do that. It's an excellent resource not only for employers with the tools you've taken us through today, but also a great resource for people who might be a little uncertain about the future and where they might best be served in looking for work, and where they might best be served in developing to become a good employer of the future and building their career. Remembering that apprenticeships and traineeships are going to give them a good outcome, and the stats that are coming out of that now are 80% of people that are finishing an apprenticeship or a traineeship are ending up in good solid work that's paying well, and in some instances higher than a university degree. So I can't let that go without giving that a plug. We'd like you to take part, or encourage your employees to take part in a survey that we have developed as part of Skillsroad, and it's the Youth Census. One of the ways we've developed all the information we have on Skillsroad is engaging with people, and a survey that we're running at the moment, which is Youth Census 2017, is giving us a lot of insight into the sorts of things that people are thinking about when they are looking to find work, and how youth are feeling about work. And if we can get more information in that space, it's going to really add to that value to Skillsroad. So you'll receive an email after today's webinar, and please share that link with your employees. We would love to get as many people as we can completing that Youth Census information. So it's Youth Census 2017. It's a Survey Monkey, so and you'll get that link. It'll come out via email. We will wrap up now. Thank you all for your attendance today. We've enjoyed sharing the information on Skillsroad with you. Thank you, Danielle, for all of your information and your insight. It's been invaluable, so I'm sure that our employees have got a lot out of it. Thanks again for coming along today, and we look forward to meeting you in a webinar again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.